Alright, this is the tutorial for HTML Basics starting with lesson 1. First thing you obviously always want to do is read this entire section on the left here. And then you'll take your scroll down bar, scroll down. Once you've read that section, you will complete the instructions. So if we look here, step 1, it says to the right we have a test HTML file. That just means this up here. So far you're not doing anything. Step 2 says change the text on line 2, the bit between the strong and strong tags, to anything you like. So that is this. So this is the opening strong tag here, and this is the closing strong tag here. So right here where it says feel free to change this text, the only thing you're going to do is insert your cursor, backspace, and write anything you want. Okay, and then you'll see that over here on the right, this would be what your web page would look like if you were actually coding out a real web page. Alright, and this says step 3, hit the save and submit code, and you'll see how the test HTML file would look in the browser. Let's go ahead, we'll hit save and submit, and we get our first badge. We don't need to copy and paste this badge. I'm sorry, we don't need to take a screenshot of it because we don't take the screenshot of the badge until you're done with all 14 of these. So you can go ahead and hit close and then click on start next lesson. Okay, now we are on step 2 of 14. Again, you need to make sure that you read this entire section on the left before you complete the instructions. Since I've already read them and I know what to do, I'm going to skip over those. Step 1 says go ahead and put the 3 lines mentioned above in the test HTML, which is now blank. So they're speaking of these 3 lines, A, B, and C. So I'm going to start off with A. It says always put this on the first line. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that exactly as it shows. Everything that's capitalized needs to remain capitalized. Any punctuation marks, I call these carets, so I'm going to add my closing caret. So I just did the first line. Then it says always put this tag on the next line. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter to go to line 2. I'm going to do the opening caret, HTML, closing caret, enter. And then lastly, step C says always put this tag on the last line. That is the closing tag. So caret, closing tag always has a / HTML, and then you close that. Okay, so we went ahead and did steps 1 and 2. Oh, no we didn't. Sorry, we did step 1. Let's look at step 2. It says in between the second and last line, which is between the HTML, the opening HTML and closing HTML tag, feel free to write whatever message you'd like. So in this case, I'm just going to go right here. I'm going to hit enter, and I am going to write whatever I want. Okay, so again, you can see how if this were a live web page, this is what it would look like. You can also use the stuck get a hint options if you need to, and those should walk you through and make it a little easier for you. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit save and submit. Alright, we did good. We're going to go to start next lesson. So now we're on 3 out of 14. Again, I'm going to repeat myself over and over. Make sure you always read this, and then we're going to go to the instructions. It says put in the doc type HTML tag, so you should know by now that's the very first line of every HTML page. Again, everything that's capitalized needs to be capitalized. Any punctuation marks, make sure you do it exactly as it's shown. You're pretty much just copying what they've got for you. So that was step 1. Step 2 says put in the HTML opening and closing tag. So I'm going to go ahead, opening caret, HTML, closing caret. And then to do the closing tag, hopefully you're understanding now, closing tags have a / HTML. Close that. Step 3 says between the HTML tags, write whatever you'd like. So I'm just going to go up here and go in between those 2 tags, opening HTML and closing. So you can also have it set up like this. Either way is fine, so it makes it easier to see that you're actually in between them. So I'm going to go ahead and write. Okay. And then lastly, it says press the save and submit code to see what you've written. So there it is. Okay, I'm going to stop this tutorial here. I'll pick up on the next tutorial with lesson 4.